Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. You might be wondering and surprised why am I so official. This is because this is a very unique episode. We'll be talking about something very inspiring. This is going to be a very inspiring holiday in our Far East capital. Cultural Vladivostok is a topic for this time. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's start. Vladivostok is the cultural mecca of Primoria, and not only Primoria, but the whole region. Even before Vladivostok became the capital of the Far East, it was the cultural capital of Russia at this region. And this is not a surprise. There are tens of cultural places that include museums, theaters, art galleries, movie theaters, philharmonies. Today, we'll be able to only mention just a few places, but we will tell you about these places in detail with many interesting facts. I'm not going to surprise you when I say, no matter where you're from, culture starts from history. This is my personal opinion, and if you really want to understand the soul of the people you're visiting, go to a museum. I always do that. For example, one of my most memorable moments about Irkutsk is the Primorsky Museum. Try to imagine being able to feel and touch the objects of the people that lived here many, many years ago. Every single time I think about such things, I get goosebumps. In Vladivostok, such artifacts are kept in the Arseniev State Museum of the Primorsky region. Arseniev is a famous explorer and writer. Where do we start? Well, it makes sense to start at the beginning, from the first hall in our exhibitions. Our first hall tells you the story of the first state, or you may call it a kingdom of Baha'i. Here you can see many exhibits. And can you imagine how many years it's taken us to collect all of this? The first excavations started since the founding of the museum. Originally, this museum was supposed to be a museum of social studies of the Amur Krai. That is the original organization that has discovered new places and new artifacts and added to this collection. All this started at the end of the 19th century. The museum was founded in 1884 and the doors first opened in 1890. Baha'i was a state that had its own army, navy, governmental structure. And here we can see some of the weaponry, like swords, arrows, and knives. Here we can see that there was actually navigation possible at the end of the first century, but only during particular times when there was wind going the way you needed to travel. No motors were invented at this point, and boats were all wooden. To be able to anchor the boat, these types of weights would be attached to the anchor. The wooden anchors have not survived, but we can see the stone weights. From what I noticed, you really need a tour guide here, because if I just walked in here and visited and saw these stones, I wouldn't even know what they're about. It would have been confusing. Why would you save these stones? I have seen many cases where people would wonder why we have to save certain I have seen many cases where people wonder why do we have to save certain furniture, saying like, good for them, they're saving old furniture. Visitors don't know the story behind certain artifacts. So you're pretty much telling us that guides are a must. These people were animists, so you can see skulls, houses with imagery. The trinkets that we actually call chiburashka are placements with holes. On many of them you can see burn marks, and most likely these had some sort of burning on them and were used in ritual practices. This is a tomb of Jiangshan Prince Yesikun, whose Chinese name is Digunai. Is this real? Yes, but it went through an interesting reconstruction. During the Soviet times, they have decided to fill this with liquid glass and concrete. In 2000, we had to take the layers out one by one and give it the original view. You can obviously see that this particular person was very high-ranking in the society. He was discovered with bones of dogs, pork, and skulls of a horse. And here is part of the spirit alley. This alley would lead the way to the tomb. If you would like a summary, we have 3 floors of different artifact exhibits that cover fields of local history, ethnic history, archaeological discoveries of the region. The museum has a story of development from the founding times till today. We are part of the Primorsky Government Society and we have a few branches in town. The branches are Sukharov House Museum. It is the only museum of the Tsarist official in Russia and one of the few wooden mansions of the 19th century preserved in Vladivostok that still has all the furniture that was used during that period. This house was a resident of the state council of Primorsky regional government, Alexander Vasilievich Sukharov, who devoted his life to improving Primorsky Krai and Vladivostok. This was the home of our explorer Arsenyev, who was the local explorer, writer, and whose name you can see on the walls of the museum. He was actually not local. He moved to the city in 1890, and within 30 years that he spent here, he had led over 10 expeditions, and thanks to these expeditions, our region has been analyzed, walked around, and learned about. Also, we have the second branch of the City Museum in the historical building of Peter the Great, where just not long ago, an amazing exhibition started regarding the 100 years of the Vladivostok fort. This exhibition is very good. We are open daily with no holidays from 10 o'clock in the morning to 7 in the evening. We have guides in different languages, and they are available any day of the year, no matter if you come on the 1st of January or a Sunday or a Monday. We're always happy to see you. What do you think? This is very impressive, isn't it? Every time I visit this museum, I'm very impressed. And imagine this, the time between us, between the people who lived here now, is many decades and centuries. But we are so similar. Now we're going to the Center of Classical Music in Vladivostok, the Vladivostok Philharmonic building, and it's actually just across from the museum. The history of Vladivostok Philharmonic Society started in October 1939. It is situated in the historical city center of Vladivostok. The actual building and the buildings that came before it have been reconstructed on a number of occasions, but have always been associated with culture. For example, in 1907, there was a theater stage. In 1919, there was a club of futurists. In different times, there was an opera house, a theater for young viewers, a historic drama theater. In 1980, opening of the Vladivostok Philharmonic Society has happened, and the doors were opened and never shut. Vladivostok Philharmonic Society is one of the main cultural societies that takes care of concerts in the region. The Philharmonic Society has 2 theaters, halls, the big hall and the small hall. There are 2 orchestras that are part of this team, and they're very well known over the Far East region. This is the Pacific Symphony and the Variety Philharmonic Orchestra. We have soloists, vocalists, accompanists, pianists, violinists, the Russian National Instrumental Band that is very famous even in Moscow, and it actually played at the Winter Olympics in Korea. Vladivostok Philharmonic Society is the organizer of major events. I guess I should start from the first one that happens every spring, and it is called the Far East Spring. This is a traditional event, one of the oldest that we have created, and it has been going on for over 27 years. During this festival, we have had artists of world ranking taking the stage with us, like Dmitry Kharastovsky, Yuri Basmet with his amazing orchestra, Vladimir Spivakov, and many others. The second event is the International Jazz Festival. It is going to be held for the 16th time this year, and tickets can be bought right now. You can see the posters all over. You will be able to see the guest name stars that take part, who are performing from the United States of America, from South Korea, Germany, and France. The newest festival that we have been creating is only 7 years old, and it's the Festival of Culture of Asian Pacific region. We have musicians from Japan, Korea, China take part of this, and we hope to see soon to have members from Vietnam and other South Asian countries to join us soon. Mainly, originally this event was about classical music, but now we have opened its doors to the national cultures, and countries have started performing the national treasures and national type of performances. Not long ago, we just started the new season of the Philharmonic Orchestra, and we have many performances happening. Many of the tourists that visit us are from Japan and Korea, and they love listening to classical music. And they come here in great numbers. It's not a secret that these countries love Russian classical music, especially Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninoff, Rimsky-Korsakov. These composers are very popular amongst these countries. And when we plan our performances, we try to keep some of the pieces from those composers. Soon we will have a website available for our foreign visitors in English that will have programs available. Also, when we know that we have foreigners coming, we always have a printed out program for them. Right next to the Philharmonic Society, we can find the Performing Art Theater. Personally, this is my favorite theater. If you like interesting and unique plays, you need to see it. But also, there are so many other theaters you can visit in Vladivostok that we can lose count. For example, Pushkinsky Theater, Garkov Theater, TOV Theater. Pretty much, we can't cover all of them because this episode will be so long it'll take at least 1 or 2 hours. And we only have 20 minutes. Now, let's visit one of the most unique and very rare places here. The Primorsky Stage of Mariinsky Theater. This is the youngest theater in our city. And obviously you can see that from the outside building. I can confirm that every second tourist, not every single one of them, have to visit this stage. This is a unique theater that is situated in the very visual stunning area of the banks of Zolotoy Rog Bay, which is very loved by visitors and the locals. This project had to be realized very quickly and was opened in December of 2012. Originally, the theater was built for the APEC summit, so the technology and the detail of the theater are the most modern that are possible in this country. Architecture had achieved their amazing goal. Let's go check it out. Where are we now? We are right now at the big stage of our opera house, where you can see some of the biggest opera and ballet performances. And the technicality of this particular hall is very advanced. It's one of the best in Russia. The only other theaters that have such technology are probably the Mariinsky Theater in St. Petersburg and the Bolshoi Theater in Moscow. The technological factors is that from different angles and points, the lighting shines in a way that it helps not only the visuals but the acoustics of the area exactly the same from any side of the hall. In our program, you can pretty much see every single production available in the world. For example, if we're talking about some of the biggest names, like it is Tosca, it is Traviari, it's A Love for the Three Oranges, it's Aida. We also have such ballets as The Swan Lake, Giselle, The Nutcracker, Žar-Ptica, Korsar. We have one of the strongest classical opera and ballet performances available in this region. And it is not only popular with the locals, but from any visitor from Vladivostok that come from all over the Primorsky Krai, but also the tourists. Also here at the Mariinsky Theater, yearly they held the Pacific Meridian Film Festival. It is an international film festival of Asia-Pacific region. Here you can usually see the red carpet, but it's not exactly red, it's blue. And you'll be able to see stars of every level, from Russia and international stars. So of course, as you may have guessed, the next topic that we're going to be talking about is the Pacific Meridian Film Festival. One of the brightest and amazing cultural pages at the Cultural Factor of Vladivostok is this particular film festival. I absolutely love the amount of very well-picked, good quality cinematography available here. I love this film festival so much that last year I was actually considering taking a few days off work and seeing everything around here. If you are a Film Fest fan, you really should come visit. And the media turnout here is amazing. I hope my dream of being able to just completely take a few days of work and just see this movie festival comes true for you. I love this film festival. It has a huge number of very well-picked, good quality cinematography. Every single year I try to take part of it. I actually worked here last year as a volunteer. Even though it was not my type of work, I took out 3 weeks and I sacrificed them just to be part of this fest. Because I truly believe that this event creates a new type of cultural environment in our city. And this festival brings many memorable, bright and unique memories that will stick with you for a very long time. We have heard about this festival a lot of times prior to this. We had to come see it with our own eyes. What do you like about the festival so far? I love the festival atmosphere, and also I love that you can see so many very unique and good movies. For example, movies from Australia, Korea, that you don't really get to see in your normal life. We came up with this 17 years ago, and we decided to hold this particular festival just so we're able to include movies of the Pacific region. And this fest only happens here. This particular event is the only one in the whole wide world. We believe we are the intermediate between the Pacific region to the rest of Europe and all of the 10,000 kilometers of Russia. And here you can see movies that come from all over the world, from the deepest and darkest regions of the world. For example, this year, we will have a lot of visitors to Vladivostok from more than 150 countries. This year, we have 1,600 movies that will be shown at our film fest. And funny enough, we don't even have free theaters or even tickets available even before the festival started. And in prior life, we were always skeptical. And in previous years, we were very skeptical about Asian movies taking part of this festival. But surprisingly enough, they have some of the biggest demand, even bigger than the ones from Europe and America. And because of this, we're able to show Asian culture to Europe and to America. It's sad that so far, these particular movies are stuck in our region. And the Pacific Meridian Festival hopes to actually achieve that this type of movies will end up on television at the rest of Russia. I see a dream here. My dream is that this festival will help open a brand new film market when movies are not just going to be stuck here in our area, but brought to the rest of Russia and the world. What is our next goal? Our next goal is a festival that's going to be number 18th on our count. And it's already happening for sure next year in the city of Vladivostok. Vladivostok has also a lot more historical monuments. There is more than 1,500 of them. There are statues, monuments, buildings, and other cultural centers. This city is so unique with its history that only the one way you can experience it is by visiting. Trust me, you will never be the same after you visit our amazing city.